Hmm. Can you see me? I can see you. Not really, out there in Radio Land. But welcome to another fun filled edition of Adam's Music Box. It is the Sunday stream. And today I'm going to talk about something that is sometimes delightful and sometimes annoying, much like this channel. And it's known as the mashup because um, some of them are getting really, really good. And there's a guy in particular I want to give a shout out to. His name is Bill McClintock. He's already got almost 500,000 subscribers, all well deserved. I am one of them. And I definitely think you should check him out as he's really at the top of the game when it comes to these mashups. But where did the mashup come from? Where is it going? And what does it mean? Fundamentally, the idea of a musical mashup is just when you take two well-known pieces of music, two or more, and you put them together in a continuous stream of sonic poetry. Let's call it sonic sentences to create something new out of something that's pre-existing and easily identifiable. Now, all of that's a mouthful, but much like obscenity, you know it when you see it, or in this case, hear it. Now, long before computers and even before recorded sound, you would have something that became known as musical quoting. So you're composing a piece of music and you quote, you reference another piece of music. Consider Dvorak's Ninth Symphony, which references the second movement to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. It quotes Beethoven. Why? Because either consciously or unconsciously, and I would say consciously, knowing him or not knowing him well, but I did check him out. Some will get it. Dvorak liked Beethoven. And of course, it was jazz that was the genre that quoting really became well known because jazz is very improvisational. And in the solos, humor is often conveyed by quoting a well known piece of music. So, for instance, you'd be playing a rip roaring saxophone and you'd quote a little "Hello, my baby, hello, my darling, hello, my ragtime gal," and then the trumpet player jumps in and he quotes a little bit of "Mary Had a Little Lamb," and it's a bit of humor. It's like, oh, I'm hearing something familiar amid this sort of very improvisational, rip roaring, at times avant-garde soloing, but by no means is it limited to jazz, even though it's most well known in jazz. How many times have you, let's say, heard a blues solo and the guy's playing and he throws da 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 in? Oh, that's a quote, and you hear it all the time. And these are in forms of music that are not novelty and not humor based. But like I said, jazz musicians or blues musicians or rock musicians can convey a bit of cheeky humor by quoting something, typically in a solo. And then there are instances of let's call them proto mashups, where the humor is in fact intentional. Consider Spike Jones sort of combining sort of lighthearted Broadway style show tunes and novelty music with things like Tchaikovsky. He did his whole Tchaikovsky mashup, played on exotic and intentionally humorous sets of instruments. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to YouTube and type in Spike Jones Tchaikovsky, and you'll see exactly what I mean. In vocal music, in lyrical music, it's very common as well, and no more so than in hip hop, where, for instance, one hip hop artist will reference something that another hip hop artist will say. That's quoting. That's a mashup in a way. What about sampling, the musical basis of most hip hop music? Well, that itself is probably when the mashup as we know it today came to be most recognizable. Now, sampling by definition isn't a mashup, but it's definitely the brother or sister of mashups because the idea is that you take a passage from a well-known piece of music, in some cases multiple. I mean, look at De La Soul. They were sampling scores of songs just in one original piece of hip-hop music. They were sampling 12 older songs occasionally. That is a kind of mashup. You're taking several things, combining it with something new. And I do think that probably more than anything else, more than Dvorak, more than John Coltrane, more than Spike Jones, the modern idea of mashups really came from a generation that grew up on sampling. And just to bring things very up to date in terms of lyrical mashups or lyrical sampling, I mean, people who watch the show might not necessarily be up with the musical trends of 2025, but you may have children, or even dare I say grandchildren, that annoy you with the Doot Doot 6-7 song and accompanying meme. Well, at one point in that song, the artist, the rapper Skrilla, quotes the lyrics to the Baby Shark theme, a children's program. And again, why is he doing that? For humor, because it's a song basically about gangsters killing each other in Philadelphia. So why not add lyrics from a children's program to, add a bit of levity to the situation? I do say, since we're on the subject, I like the fact that all of these people are analyzing what 6-7 means, and Skrilla himself said it doesn't mean anything, and I don't even want to attempt to assign meaning to it. There you go. There is always a danger of over analysis. Not that this channel would know anything about that. But back to the online mashup as we know it. Sometime between 2000 and 2010, a lot of people started to gain traction on platforms like mainly Facebook, but MySpace before. But this is really something that started in terms of critical mass in the Facebook era. They began using online technology, the same kinds of things that would have been used in modern sampling, to extract bits and pieces of one song or one piece of music and combine it with another. And many of these were very sloppy. The pulse didn't integrate, the keys didn't integrate, the melody lines clashed with each other. Sometimes they would they would be harmonious and they would be rhythmically in sync as a matter of happenstance, and that was always something of a musical exciting tidbit to digest. But a lot of the time it was just about, haha, I'm making something ugly or something funny or something weird by combining two very unrelated pieces of music. And then something happened. Then the people doing these mashups got increasingly musically sophisticated. They got increasingly good at using various digital audio workstations to manipulate the rhythmic pulse, to manipulate the key in which a piece is performed, to manipulate the melody lines, to slow various portions up, speed things up and slow things down. And they created some of these mashup artists truly interesting works of art. And this is where I go back to this Bill McClintock, who I told you about earlier, because he released something just 3 days ago that I think may well be one of his best. It is a mashup of Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer and Sly and the Family Stone's Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself. And just to top that off, he adds two other little bits of mash to the already melted mashed potatoes. And there's a little bit of Stevie Wonder's Superstition mixed in, and there is a bit of David Gilmour's guitar solo from Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. Four pieces of music have nothing really to do with each other that you wouldn't ever expect to hear together. And you put it on and think, well, this is about more than humor or novelty. This is actually good. This is actually listenable and interesting. It's easy on the ear. And to me, that kind of mashup represents the apotheosis of the mashup as a form of art. It's taking this concept beyond shock value, beyond novelty, beyond, oh, that's ugly, that's stupid, ha ha ha, and really creating something really nice and interesting to listen to. It's the kind of thing where you might say, hell, if Sly were still alive, and Peter Gabriel very much is alive, God, wouldn't it be cool if they actually did this on stage? And he's done so many. I'm just looking at some of his most recent ones because they're all so good. He's done one of Rick James, Metallica, and Ozzy Osbourne, and the mashed up title is For You and I, The Crazy Bell Tolls. And of course, the pieces of music sampled and mashed up are You and I by Rick James, For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica, Crazy Babies by Ozzy, and then a few other little teasers in there, a little bit of I Was Made for Loving You, Kiss's Attempt at Dance Music, and Bad Reputation by Thin Lizzy. And again, I mean, just so many interesting ones. He did a very long one by his standards, a 12-minute tribute to Ozzy Osbourne. And Ozzy was someone long before Ozzy's death that obviously Bill McClintock was very much a fan of, because he included a lot of Ozzy's music in these various mashups. And I think the reason is obvious. Obviously, Bill was probably, is probably still a fan of Ozzy's music. I am, lots of people are. But I think what makes Ozzy so interesting for mashups is you consider Ozzy Osbourne a genre in and of himself. Black Sabbath, inventors of heavy metal, Ozzy Osbourne with that incredibly distinct voice and lyrics that generally don't talk about tea parties nor tiptoeing through the tulips. But in doing these mashups with Ozzy, Bill is actually revealed something about Ozzy that is only really ascertainable if you look at the nuance of his music. He was a great melodist. The melody lines in his vocal lines, the way that he would shape song structure, the great songwriters he worked with throughout his career, whether Geezer Butler or Randy Rhoads or Don Airey or Zakk Wylde, all of these great songwriters, or Lemmy, they were people that had a great sense of melody, a great sense of chords, and then the vocal melody lines that Ozzy wrote himself in most cases. These were great songs that pass my important songwriting test. If a song can survive outside of the genre in which it was born, it's a good song. I mean, just think about it. Think of a swinging backbeat. Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people, tip your bartenders, living, I suppose. You know, good songwriting. It can swing. It can be anything. It could be a folk song. You could just hear Crazy Train sung by a hippie with a guitar. Might not want to hear that, but the point is you could. And so I think that this sort of hidden adaptability, this hidden universality in Ozzy Osbourne's music was one of the reasons he sampled him so much. Here's one. Queensryche, the hard rock heavy metal band, and the Spinners. So Jet City Woman by Queensryche and I'll Be Around by the Spinners, combined with a little bit of Steely Dan's Do It Again. Again, very unique, very unexpected. Here's one that I really like, just going through his channel. This was a combination of Yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart, the Daz Band with Let It Whip, Dio with Rainbow in the Dark, Devo, no relation to Dio, not at all, with Whip It, Van Halen, Ain't Talking About Love, and a little bit of Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz. Again, interesting stuff. Another one that he did comparatively recently, and it's not like he's releasing these videos every day. It takes him a while to do. So when you see one of his new videos pop up, it's really a labor of love, and you can tell, because even with AI technology, and I have no evidence he's using it, but to get things this precise and this musical, and just this listenable and this endearing, this takes a lot of work that only a human sound engineering genius who is a musician himself. He plays occasionally, when he can't find a guitar solo to mash in, he'll play a guitar solo in these mashups. He's clearly a guy with lots of musical talent. But just one from, this was just from a couple months ago, from September. Combination of I'll Wait from Van Halen from the 1984 album, Donna Summer, Bad Girls, her huge hit there, A Ladies' Night in Buffalo, a David Lee Roth song, and he's featuring Steve Vai's great guitar solo, and then Zakk Wylde's guitar solo on Ozzy's Breaking All the Rules. It's so fun to go through these all, and I know some of you would say, why aren't you playing the music? Well, if you know how YouTube works, then you would know why it's not worth my while. But hey, you have a brain. You may even have fingers connected to that brain. Type in Bill McClintock. In fact, I'll put it in the live chat. I'll put the link to his channel in the live chat. I don't know if I can edit the description as I'm doing this. Oh, it looks like I can. Point of reference. Check out this channel. See, I help you so much. It's a free show, and yet I'm so charitably magnanimous. So let me just go. So I've put the link in the description to this video, but don't go to it until I'm done. Yeah, that's his maybe. But let me just see what else he's got. I've heard most of these, but it's always good to refresh the memory. He's clear, like me, he must like Van Halen, because here we've got something called Van Miracles and a song called Unchained Love Machine. He makes up mashed up titles as well. Now, what is this? It's the Miracles featuring Billy Griffin, of course, Smokey Robinson's former band. Billy Griffin became the lead singer later on, and their song Love Machine. We've all heard it. Van Halen's Unchained. We've all heard it. Van Halen, Feel Your Love Tonight. We've all heard it. And Ozzy Osbourne's Bark at the Moon. Again, really fun stuff. What else have we got here? Oh, this one was fun. James Brown meets Rage Against the Machine. And here we have Take the Soul Power Back. That's the title Bill's given it. And what are the songs? You've got Take the Power Back by Rage Against the Machine, Soul Power from James Brown. And this guy, like I said, he really likes Van Halen, which is all the more reason to love him. You've got Atomic Punk and I'm the One, both from the first Van Halen album. Really good, weird and wild stuff. What else have we got? More James Brown. This time we've got Judas Priest meets James Brown, Electric Sex Machine. You can probably already guess where we're going with this. You've got Electric Eye by Judas Priest. You've got Get Up, I Feel Like Being a Sex Machine. Ha! By James Brown. You've got Creeping Death by Metallica, and you've got Tornado of Souls by Megadeth. So, again, mixing soul and metal, two very different genres, but he does it a lot, which just shows good songwriting is a good songwriting. Iron Doors. I don't think I've heard this one. 2 Minutes to LA. And this one, sure enough, 2 Minutes to Midnight by Iron Maiden. And then The Doors, LA Woman plus Riders on the Storm. I'm going to have to bookmark that and listen to it later. This one's got a funny title, System of a Clown. And what we've got is Chop Suey by System of a Down, Justin Bieber, All Around the World, and Deuce by Kiss. I'm going to have to bookmark that one as well. I'm just going to read you a few more. I love Kool and the Gang, so let's see what this is. Kool and the Gang and Quiet Riot, Bang Your Head, It's a Celebration. I have heard this one, actually. It's Kool and the Gang Celebration, Bang Your Head, Mental Health Will Drive You Mad by Quiet Riot, and then All Right Now, Baby. It's All Right Now, Paul Rogers and Free. What else? I'm going back. Some of these, and I think he's gotten better with time, but they're all really good. Bob Marley and Billy Idol. With a rebel yelled, she cried, Don't give up the fight. And this is a mashup of Bob Marley's Get Up, Stand Up and Billy Idol's Rebel Yell. Wonderful stuff. This one I need to hear. I haven't heard this one before. Bookmarking this one. Ice Cold Ground by Foreigner and Stevie Wonder. And sure enough, it's Higher Ground by Stevie Wonder. Cold as Ice by Foreigner. And apparently, according to Bill's description, a little bit of Whitney Houston and the Village People thrown in. Donald Trump will have liked this one a lot. And it was from 2018. Like I said, this guy's been going for a while. And I think that, he's been so good for so long. Now, I don't just mean to harp on one guy, because there are a lot of people who are doing this very well. There's actually one guy from somewhere in Scandinavia, I want to say, who does something similar. He does metal versions of pop songs. So he'll do something like ABBA's Gimme a Man After Midnight in the style of Slayer. And again, it's really interesting. So what these mashups prove also, I think, and it's in a bit dangerous territory here, I think that it shows that copyright law is far too draconian, and that we need to allow artists to use their inspiration in a direct sense, because all artists use inspiration in an indirect sense. But why not give artists the opportunity to say, look, I'm going to sample all of these things into a mashup and create a unique piece of art, and let them profit from it. Let them do things with it. I mean, that precedent that was that case where who was it? Gilbert O'Sullivan's record company sued the guy who Biz Markie. It was Gilbert O'Sullivan's record label that sued Biz Markie's record label in 1990, and it made sampling too expensive, and it makes mashups difficult to monetize. I think we need to relax these laws, do a profit share if it reaches a certain threshold of revenue. If the guy's just like making enough money to put gas in the tank, let Don Henley go hungry for a few minutes. But if it reaches a certain threshold, do a profit share, but don't stop people from making and monetizing great art. Because when you monetize art, you're encouraging people, you're incentivizing them to make great art. And I genuinely think that this artist, Bill McClintock, one of the kings of the modern mashup, is really doing something extraordinary. That, of course, is just what I think. Let me know what you think. And as always, like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. As always, take care.